And the fact that all the churches are teaching a do-it-yourself gospel. That was a real shocker, because the Bible really teaches, when you work through it very, very carefully, that we can't do anything at all to get ourselves saved. Even believing or faith is a work, and by works we cannot make any contribution at all. And yet every church is designed to, it's built on the statement of one of the statements is Acts 16, when the jailer of Philippi was asking, how can I become saved? Well, believe on the Lord Jesus. But that statement has to be looked at in the light of the whole Bible. How can I believe? I'm dead in my sins. My heart is desperately wicked. How can I believe? But I have to believe in order to become saved. God has to save me. He gives me the faith. He gives me the belief. And then, in other words, believing is never a basis for salvation. It's always the result of salvation. And then once we become saved, then it's a fruit of the Spirit. It is a good work that will begin to flow out of the life of a believer.
Do you know for sure that you are saved?
I know for sure, yes.
Because can others know they are?
Based on Romans 8, the Spirit witnesses with our spirit. As we go in the Bible and find that we have an intense desire to do the will of God, and an intense desire to want to be obedient to the Bible, we get greater and greater assurance. But the wonderful thing is, even if we don't have that assurance, we can keep crying to God, "Oh God, have mercy, have mercy." And we have to wait upon the Lord for this. And so consequently, as you're noting here, I'm stepping on the toes of churches real hard. Not because I'm doing it, but the Bible does. The Bible does. And that's why the churches are in deep trouble. One of the signs is that we read in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, that there'll be a lot of people saying Christ is coming as a thief in the night. But we are ready. We are, and God is saying sudden destruction is going to come upon them. Because, and that's true of every church. You go to any church, you ask them, can we know the time of Christ's return? No. Because you see, God had taught in Acts chapter 1 verse 7, he had taught the fact that during the church age, you cannot know. That's why anybody who has ever tried, before 1988, which was the end of the church age, who has tried to, however diligently or seriously, or how holy he may have been, trying to discover the end of time, whether it was Martin Luther who already tried to do that, or whatever, you can't know. You can't know. It is not for you to know the day or the hour. Christ is coming as a thief in the night. You get busy and get the gospel out. That's what we read in Acts 1. But when we get near the end, remember in Daniel 12, Daniel was given a lot of information, and God told him to seal it up. It's for the time of the end. Then we go to Revelation 5, and God talks there about a book that has been sealed with 7 seals, and slowly on its open by Revelation 8 verse 1, it's been opened, and it discloses all the information that had been sealed. And that's why today we have so much information that it almost sounds like a different gospel. But it's because God is opening our spiritual eyes to all kinds of things in the Bible that he has never opened before.
Now, you're recommending now that we don't need to go to church anymore, or?
As a matter of fact, the Bible teaches Satan rules there, and he tells us to get out of the churches. and because who wants to worship Satan but God? And for a brief period of time, we've learned that the Great Tribulation is actually exactly 23 years, right to the very day, 8,400 days, and that's exactly 23 years.
I was just wondering, you read from Jeremiah chapter 25 there about the judgment, but there in Jeremiah 25 it talks about 70 years, and that seems a lot more biblical, using 70 years than 23 years.
Well, but you see, God gave pictures. The first picture was when Jacob came into the land of Egypt. There was a 7-year famine, and it was a terrible thing for him, because he had to leave the land of Canaan, which was the promised land, and go to Egypt. That was the first picture of the Great Tribulation. Then there's the 70-year picture. Now, they were both pointing to the 8,400 days. Again, you have the number 7. The number 7. 7 times 12 times 100, 8,400 days. But the first two were portraits of it, and the reality finally came to our date. It's very interesting that the key date in the case of Jacob was, I forget the exact year, but it was exactly 1,290 years until 587, which is the key date when Jerusalem was destroyed in that 70-year period. And 2 times 1,290 years exactly brings us to 1994, which is the key date of the 23-year tribulation. It's very significant and very interesting how God is. Everything is tied together by very careful numbers. It's not. Nothing is erratic. Nothing is erratic. It all fits together all the time as we go through the history of the world.
I was just wondering, what happens if it doesn't happen? What happens if May 21st comes and goes and we're still here?
I don't even entertain that question, because it absolutely is going to happen. And remember, just like the 10 virgins, the bridegroom has come. The 5 foolish virgins didn't have oil in their lamp. They're a picture of those in the churches who are not saved. And so they quickly try to get some oil. And then when the bridegroom comes, the door is shut. Or when they get back, the door is shut. And that's exactly the way it's going to be. When that first earthquake hits, all the people in the churches are going to be saying, "Oh, we were wrong. We were wrong." These other people that are talking about May 21 were right. What do I do? They're going to run to their pastors. What do we do? What do we do? And the day of salvation is gone. They're going to have to go into Judgment Day. You know, there's a lot of sorrow connected with this. My family, I have 6 living children, and I have 24 grandchildren and 36 great-grandchildren. They're a big clan. And very few of them agree with me. I mean, they respect me, and I'm the patriarch of our clan, and yet they've been reared, as I was reared, to be good church people, and they're trusting their pastors. 3 of them are pastors, and they don't buy it a bit. They trust their churches, and you know, if you're a pastor and you've committed yourself to the doctrines of the church, and you trust the theologians of 100 years or 500 years ago, or like in the Roman Catholic, of more than 1,000 years ago, and you got your creeds and your confessions, and that's what they preach from, really. And they say the Bible is the infallible Word of God. That is base. That is the verses that they're using to indicate the authority of that. But nevertheless, they're not looking at the whole Bible. And so when we are looking at the whole Bible, and I teach on family radio, I sound like I'm a crazy man because I come up with so many ideas. Well, but that's because God is opening our eyes to a whole lot of things that it all comes from the Bible. It all comes. I never dare fudge with the Bible at all. But it doesn't come easy. And when I went to college, it was a 4-year course, and I studied pretty hard. Well, I've been studying just as hard every single year for 50 years, so I've had a long study in the University of the Bible. Mm-hmm. But I read theological books. I have Calvin's Institutes, I have Calvin's commentaries, I have the pulpit commentary, I have James Fawcett and Brown. I mean, I have a lot of learned books, and I check again and again what these theologians say, and again. Sometimes I get help from them, but most of the time not. The difficult verses they don't know what to do with, and that's my life. That's my life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I appreciate you taking the time to share with us about the end of the world, Judgment Day, and I guess we'll see what happens on May 21st. Myself, personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I've studied the Bible for many years myself, and I've learned the Hebrew and the Greek and all of the studies, but I guess I have to take the different opinion that a lot of things you're comparing seem like apple and oranges and don't fit together from studying the Bible, and I see that it's not going to happen on May 21st. And I guess we'll have to see on May 21st what happens.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you sharing.
You see, I ask people that claim that are certain it won't happen. I say, what is your authority? What is your authority? Well, the Bible is my authority. Well, I know, but what in the Bible guarantees that it's not going to happen? Well, it says here, no man can know the day or the hour. Yes, but that is, you're saying that because that is one of the signs. God has given a lot of information that shows that we do know that we have to know the day or the hour. Otherwise, how can we warn the world that Judgment Day is coming? How could Noah warn unless he had an exact date? How could Jonah warn Nineveh unless he had an exact date? And God has given us that time, and we have all these proofs and all these signs as our authority to show that our homework has been done accurately, that God has guided. What is your authority? And one of the obvious things is, well, how can a thousand preachers be wrong? And God has given us a very excellent demonstration of Judgment Day on Mount Carmel back in 1 Kings 18, when Elijah is there with the 450 prophets of Baal. And there you have 450, all in exact agreement. Here you have one lone prophet who has the right. Well, if consensus has anything to do with it, boy, the 450 prophets have it right. And that's it. That whole chapter is a tremendous demonstration of Judgment Day, and that's exactly the way it is today. All the preachers are in agreement. They're all in agreement. Christ is coming as a thief in the night, and the Bible predicted that would be one of the signs that's the way it is. It could make me weep, when I think of it. I have a lot of dear friends in the churches. I've been in the church all my life until about 20 years ago, and My, it's so sad when I think about it. But I know that God is a perfect God, and I pray every day for my children and my grandchildren, and oh Lord, is it possible that you still might open some of their eyes? But yet I said, I know that you do everything perfectly, and I can live with that.
How about this? If you're still here on May 22nd, would you be willing to step down from family radio if you're shown wrong?
I don't even think about those questions. I don't even think about them at all, because I won't be here. I won't be here. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. There can't be this much proof and this much evidence, and then when you look at all the signs, the wickedness of the world, and
well, a lot of those things have all been going on for years and years.
If you had took a snapshot of the United States 50 years ago, it was an entirely different morality than it is today. It has not been that way all the time. It has not been. We like to think it is, but it isn't. The world has become just intensely wicked. Our United States is a good illustration. 50 years ago, the morality here was entirely different than it is today. We see all the lying and the stealing and the greed and the sexual perversion. It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. The divorce and even the churches, membership in the churches, half the people are divorced, and it's never been like that. It's just crying out for judgment. It's crying out for judgment, and it's not going to get any better. When sin develops, you ever see sin? Do you know any churches that are really trying to straighten it all the sin in their churches out? Oh, I wish I could hear about it but there's still churches that are trying hard, of their own pastors, but the world is right on the precipice of Judgment Day, and it's going to happen.
Okay, well, I appreciate taking the time to be with us. I would be interesting to look at your books over there that you have, though.
I'm sorry?
I'd be interested in seeing the books behind you there.
Oh, yeah, let me show you these. Oh, yeah. And these are, I think I only have found one or two errors in 8 years. I use these every day, every single day. And when then finally it gives you show you just how that word
gives you the Hebrew and then the English translation underneath. That's very nice to have.
Well, I don't even trust that translation, because then I look at the number and find and see how God used it all the way through. Because it's like the Strongs or the Youngs, but it's far more intense and far more detailed. I'll tell you, I was so thankful for these. Because I don't use a computer. I have one, but I don't use one, and because I don't have time. This consumes a lot of time, but I have to have time to think and to pray, and when you're working in the Bible, you think about it. Think about it. What is God saying, and where do I go next? And you're praying, oh Lord, I pray for wisdom, because I don't have any at all.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I know you're a busy man here, but I appreciate the time taking with us here.